conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its stakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised.
Billions of people just living out their lives, oblivious. Choice is an illusion created between those with power and those without.
I drink your milkshake. I drink it up.
Thank you, John Larson. I receive your kind words on behalf of all of our courageous members of the House of Representatives who want the best for the American people. And what we can do that is best for them in the next 24 hours is to pass affordable, accessible health care for all Americans. The best for all Americans is to have 32 million more people to have health insurance in our country. The best for...
Piece of stinking filth.
Shh, say it again, Shal. This is AJ of the InfoWars. Listen to the Shaliak. This is Alex Jones of InfoWars. Listen to Shaliak on the Cold Reality News and Report.
This is the coolest thing I have ever seen.
Well, hello there.
Welcome to UCY. Going live in 5 minutes. This week on Cold Reality Radio, my guest will be Greg, possibly Clint, in a second hour roundtable, talking about the fall and collapse of Deutsche Bank, imminent. Puerto Rico and its insolvency, now owned by Wall Street interests. 15 states in America are also insolvent. Economic depression is a certainty at this point. Hillary and Trump, an absolute joke of a debate. Trump not pulling out the dynamite to expose what is very easily and could very easily be done to absolutely destroy her. But he hasn't done that yet. Is he a ringer? I bet you he is. Why government banks? Well, governments and banks want to eliminate your cash. Chinese yuan becomes IMF reserve currency, first new edition since 1999. U.S. legalizes lethal weapon deliveries to Ukraine after passing the Stand for Ukraine Act in the 8% approved United States Corporation Congress. Riyadh warns Washington of serious unintended consequences of the new 9/11 law that allows families to sue the Saudi Arabian government for their funding of the terrorists that took down the buildings that they lied to us about pretty much everything. So the lie continues and then it gets worse. The real cost of the war on terror. DEA's army of 18,000 informants pocketed $237 million over 5 years. Smartphones are distracting us to death. New Gallup poll shows 57% of Americans want a major third party, whereas some people just want to be douchebags. That and more on today's edition of Cold Reality Radio here on the UCY.TV Broadcasting Network. Sunday, October 2nd. It's 10:11. It's 10:11 on the east coast of Night America. And again, we're going to be talking to Greg today. Greg follows economic stories and used to work on Wall Street. So, you know, what better to kind of expose the degeneracy and scum and filth that Wall Street has always been. And of course, they're all tied together. The creation of the United States government or corporation. And then of course you've got the banks that fund the corporation. And then you have, you know, the physical, you know, Wall Street, that, you know, has lied to us and stolen our money and, you know, just the whole thing, you know, the bullshit lies, you know, great movie, The Wolf of Wall Street, but, is really, you know, the bottom line is that in that movie, when he went from taking from the little guy to stealing from the big guy, see, that's when Jordan, whatever the fuck his name was, became a target for, the actual, you know, the people, the mafia that controls America and pretty much the rest of the world. And if they don't control the rest of the world, they soon will. So that's why this Jordan, whatever his name was, and I watched it actually much later than most of us did. Probably about 2 months ago, 2 months ago. But when the movie came out, of course, you look for the bullshit. You look for the Hollywood. You look for the spin, the degenerate spin that Hollywood puts on absolutely everything to distract you and push you away from the real story, which was he started with the little guy, and it's okay for him for these bankers and all the things that he and others were doing. Matthew McConaughey, his character in there. It's okay when you're stealing from the commoners. It's okay when you're ripping them off, because the United States government and Wall Street's already doing that. Okay? It's called disempowering the people of your corporation, your commoners that pay taxes, figuring out ways to keep them down, figuring out ways to keep them from figuring out that they're being fucking screwed and lied to about everything under the sun. And maybe even the sun. And maybe even the moon. So you have that situation where then he started going after and stealing from the big boys, and then he started getting investigated by the criminal levels of the FBI, criminal levels of all these other alphabet agencies that some of them, with the compartmentalization of these organizations, they don't know. Most people don't know what's going on. They think that they're actually fighting for the betterment and the security of not only their own lives, but other commoner Americans, denizens, filth that they look at us as like cattle. And the bottom line here is, you have your Snowdens, whatever you want to believe about him. He believed that he was doing what was right, and then he found out that it was the whole apparatus was being turned on the American people, looking to just find anything to control economically, to control societally, and that's what they've done. They're controlling people societally now with this bullshit lie about women making less money than men. It can be disproven on so many different levels. They're lying about this whole racial thing. People, when police are trained to kill, and when they're told every day that there's terrorists lurking around every fucking corner, that's how they're going to start to react. You've got degenerate fucking television shows that are based on nothing but and built on nothing but the lies of the war on terror. Then that's what you're going to get. Homeland and all of these other shows, and people get into it like, oh my God, did you see Homeland the other night? It was just so good. She stopped the terrorist, and then they found the guy who was doing it. It's just so good. I love that show. Fucking retards. Hashtag fucking retards. So this is what we get across the board. Lies, manipulation, propaganda, and a global economy that is in absolute freefall. It's an absolute freefall. Yet Lester Holt, that big fucking queer, sat there the other night and said, well, no, we got the economy coming back and more jobs are coming, the economy is back, mostly from where it was. Bullshit. Bull fucking shit. Another lying fucking, and I don't even want to call him a journalist because he's a fucking liar. Just like Scott Pelley, just like Brian Williams. They're all motherfucking liars. And if they don't know that they're lying, then they're still fucking liars. And they're worse than that because they're fucking, they have no fucking common sense whatsoever. They have no knowledge. They're what they are to people. This prestige of them being an NBC or an ABC journalist is just absolute bullshit. But again, we look at all these flattering titles, president, congressman, senator, and these are the people that are destroying the world. These are the people that are assisting in the destruction of the global economy. And then you see the degenerative fucking commercials on where the conservatives are fighting the liberals. This one's shady, that one's this. Imagine the fucking amount of money that's spent on these motherfucking commercials. All the money that's spent on these fucking commercials. They have no fucking shame. They have no fucking shame. And then they pretend to fucking care about starving children. They pretend to care about, and maybe they do care. But then they just think, well, it's just the way things are, and, we have a lot of things that we have to debate. We have a lot of, the important things that they say, that they talk about. Important things, the topics. We're still talking about abortion and women's health and saying that, this conservative Republican senator said this, and then he wants to get rid of women's right to choose, women's right to their health. Meanwhile, mammograms induce an incredible amount, and of course they were talking about mammograms and all these other things because they've lumped in the killing and abortion, the aborting of children, to that being women's health, mental health, physical health. Hey, listen, you do whatever the fuck you want to do. I don't give a fuck what you do. Okay? I don't give a fuck. It should not be a political fucking talking point. It should not be a political fucking talking point. The only reason that it is divide and conquer. The only reason that it is to create the left and the right. The left and the right, and they sit at the top, both of them. They sit across from each other on the aisle, and they pretend to give a shit. Well, I'm a conservative, so these are what my values are. I'm a liberal. My name's Hillary Clinton, and I care about children. Meanwhile, all the children and the women that they fucking murdered as the Secretary of fucking State in Libya, in Syria, and all these other fucking places where they're murdering people, they're killing people with their proxy armies. And now it's like right out in the open. It's right out in the open. All the proxy war that they were fighting with all these fucking jihadis that are controlled by the agencies. Now, because they couldn't take down Assad and these other these elements over there that they've been fighting covertly to take down by saying that he, gassed the people 2 or 3 years ago, which was completely, Russia and China and areas of the British government, of the UK, shut that down. Shut down any kind of attack on Assad. Now they're just going for broke. They're in there saying that they're fighting to get rid of ISIS with the U.S. and then now you've got the U.S. that is bombing they're bombing the Damascus and killing children, bloodying fucking children. It's all fucking lie. It's all fucking bullshit. And this is not to keep us safe. They're killing other people. They're murdering fucking children. And that fucking sleazy fucking whore, that psychopathic fucking bitch Hillary, says that one of her main focus point is children. Children. She cares about the children. And she's blowing their arms and fucking legs off. And she condones the murdering of the Palestinian, people over there in their open-air concentration camp. They are all full of fucking shit, and they're all fucking murderers. They all have blood on their hands, and consequently and sequentially, we do as well because we're funding this fucking war machine with our taxes. So they get everybody to participate in the murder. And if you say anything about it, you're not an American. You're not patriotic. You hate the troops. You hate women if you don't believe the whole fucking they get paid less than everything. You hate women if you don't believe that children should be fucking murdered and killed, in the womb. You just, they turn it around. They turn everything around. They turn everything around and make someone who's sitting there bleeding and crying for the world and seeing the things that are happening. They turn those people into absolute fucking pariahs when all they want is the stealing and the killing and all this other shit to fucking stop. They turn good people with good fucking intention into pariahs and women haters and racists and all this other shit. This motherfucking corporation, they're bringing it down. They're bringing it down with divide and conquer strategy. It's that simple. That's what they're fucking doing. And if you don't fucking see it, you got your fucking head up your ass and you're eating your own shit. We are basically in World War III already, and it's going to take another gear this month, and then you wait to see what fucking happens to this so-called fucking election. I guarantee you it probably doesn't even fucking happen. And there's no way. There is no fucking way. And I don't support Trump. I support maybe about fucking 30 or 40% of what he says. The rest is fucking bullshit. He's calling for more of a fucking police state. He's calling for more just outright fucking Gestapo tactics in America, which are already in place. They're already underway. He's got the ammunition. He's got the information to take this fucking Medusa fucking whore down. And he will not fucking use it because he is full of fucking shit too. He's full of fucking shit too. And you heard him. If you watch the debate, he said, if I don't get to, if I don't get to the White House one way, I've got a business project over there right now that's underway. That's right next to the White House or somewhere in the proximity. So he's going to get to wherever he needs to financially, even if he loses the election, which I'm pretty sure at this point he is, And all this fact-checking bullshit. All this fucking fact-checking bullshit. And then what happens? What happens? Not only the people with good intention that just want the killing and the murder and the thievery and the looting of the commoners in America and around the rest of the world. They demonize everybody. And if you get upset, then you're an extremist. If you get upset and rant and talk about things that you just cannot even believe are fucking happening, then you're an extremist. And they listen to everything. They listen to everything. They're listening right now. They're listening right now to everyone that is talking, that understands that we are illegitimate, that this corporation, and that's what it is, pointed out by Clint Richardson in his Corporation Nation documentary. This is a corporation. It's run by by corporations. The corporations don't run government. The government owns the corporation. You cannot have a corporation in this country or anywhere around the world unless it's controlled by that government. Okay? So the corporations do not control the government. The government controls and says. But then that's what they want you to think that. They want you to think that corporate America controls and buys off the politicians. No. It's absolutely, whatever they tell you is wrong. That's why these liberals, they think they believe something, and then you have to just understand that it's the exact opposite of what they're saying to you. The exact opposite. It's opposite day. a la Patrick Jordan. Every day is opposite day. And it's much, much worse than, you would imagine. So you sit here and you watch the world crumbling down, and it is crumbling, okay? You can sit there and you can fucking be in denial about anybody who's saying, hey, do you have any concern about this? Do you have any concern about that? Do you have any concern that the economy is being artificially supported by the dollar, that they're pretty much going to, attack and diminish? So maybe you have $20,000 in the bank soon. It's going to be $10,000. They've already given haircuts over in European countries. I don't believe this Brexit bullshit. I don't believe that was done organically. I do not believe any of the things that they say. I believe that everything happens, and even if you even sit there and think that Saudi Arabia and the so-called vetoing of this bill to sue the Saudi Arabian government, okay, it was just fucking crushed by the Congress, who's just a steaming pile of shit with fucking heads and hands, sticking out of it. That's Congress. A big steaming pile of shit with a congressman or congresswoman's head sticking up and hands. And that one hand is there to grab any fucking money from any lobbying and stick it in their shitty fucking pockets that are already covered in shit because they're in a steaming pile of shit. So it's just it's all bullshit across the line. And Greg's going to talk about Deutsche Bank. He's going to talk about the insolvency of Puerto Rico. It's pretty much collapsed. He's going to talk about, I believe, somewhere in the realm of 13 or 14 or 15 insolvent states that are going to collapse soon. And then, obviously the whole thing. Because the whole economic recovery, the whole economic, return is bullshit. It's lies. It's never going back to where it was. And even when it was where it was, and it was good, at the top, they were stealing from you. And when it's bad, they're stealing from you. And it's all about, standing up and being a man or being a woman and saying, I see what you're doing. I know you're full of shit, and not voting in this election. Not voting. Somebody sent out a meme the other day, my friend Steven. What if the Empire held an election and nobody showed up? Then we don't choose the president already. And if Clint comes on today, he will prove that, he created he created a new YouTube video, and I'll share that with the chatters. Nota, where he is a, animated beast with incredible intellect, and he says, what's the difference between a voter and an elector? Well, you're a voter. And believe it or not, you've got nothing to do. You have very little to do with the process. The only thing that it does is legitimize a corrupt fucking system to the beginning. But is it corrupt, or is it the way that it was designed? And of course, you say it was the way it was designed. This is their system. You are a commoner. They allow you to participate in it. And when you participate in it, you got to abide by certain rules. It's just like when Clint says, it's just like when you rent a car. You have to abide by these rules. Just like the rules of citizenship. You will be taxed, extracted, you will be poisoned, you'll be tested, you will be treated like a piece of fucking cattle. So, the song in the beginning was a compilation of something that Clint threw together a number of years ago, and he sent it to me, and he said, hey, see what you can do with this, and so that's what happened. That's what happened there, with that there. So, You got to sit there. You have to kind of understand. You think to yourself. You have to think to yourself, like, what the fuck am I participating in? I mean, the world is not going to change until people individually change themselves. Greg says that all the time. Clint says that. And it's true. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I do not consent to any more of this murder. I do not consent to any more of being ripped off under the guise of doing my part in society, being collectivized into an absolute fucking, we are murderers. We are fucking murderers because we participate and pay taxes into this illegitimate system. There are kids over in Syria right now, bloodied and dead, because the U.S. has been fighting, the U.S., Israel, and NATO, and all of these criminal elements. The global mafia has been fucking trying to take Syria down. Now, I don't even know if Russia is even legitimate in this. I don't even know if I can't sit here and think, with all this corruption and all this money and all this just absolute decimation over the years, how is it that Russia or maybe even China have the moral high ground and are actually trying to fight to save the world? I just can't even fucking believe that. Or is it just the people at the top saying, we want to stop this? Or maybe the bullshit artists out there like Benjamin Fulford that talk about the White Dragon Society that's trying to take the Rockefellers down and try to take all these other families down that have been in control for years, not only stealing from you, not only living incredibly luxurious lives, but they're also poisoning and killing you with their medical system, their American Murder Association. So it's just a fucking big steaming pile of shit or a fucking shit sandwich that everybody's taking a bite from and saying, it tastes like ham. It tastes like chicken. No, you're eating a shit sandwich. Doesn't taste like shit. Doesn't taste like shit. It tastes like ham. It tastes like herky. It's like a ham and turkey. Just absolutely fucking demolished by how ignorant fucking the people are. Just absolute fucking ignorance. And then don't get me wrong. I understand. I understand that people, have been indoctrinated into this false reality. I get it. They've been indoctrinated into this false reality. We've been told that this is the greatest place that's ever been, and that all these other countries have been, are just absolute fucking, they treat their people horribly, or, in France, they tax people 60-70%, but then they get 6 months off leave when they have a child, and all these other beautiful, beautiful things. America is what it is because it's allowed to be it's allowed to be what it was, and it is allowed to be what it's become. Okay? We have been, as I said, societally engineered into believing that we are free. You're free to work only inside their system with their Social Security to make you believe that you are someone, that you are something, that your vote counts. It does not. It's all bullshit. And it's coming to an end. It's coming to an end. As I said, World War III is essentially underway. It's been underway for some time now with the proxy war against Libya, the proxy wars against Syria, just absolute deception, because if the people of the world really knew how bad it was and how bad that they were being misled, it would be over for them. It really, truly would be over with them. And that's why they're planning your demise on mass scale. So, hey, and that's it. I'm good with it. I completely understand who I am. I am a commoner. I am a fucking piece of fucking cattle that they are fucking extracting from. Okay? I understand who I am, that I am not really free. This is just the illusion of freedom. I understand who I am and why I am in their system. And that's what you individually have to say to yourselves. If you understand that that they lie, they fucking lie to us on a daily basis to keep us from rising up against them. And that's the way it is. That's the way this system has always fucking been. But they had to, they create their system and they design it. They live incredible, lavish lifestyles. Clint's pointed it out before about the Senate and all the things that they get. They don't really spend any of their fucking money on haircuts or clothes or anything. They're living off of us. They're living off of this system. And you know what? We're all going to pay. We're all going to pay for our participation in this lie, in this absolute lie that we have to understand that it is. Because your lifestyle, your cars and your homes and all these things, it's already been predicted by many different people that all this is going to pretty much come to an end. It's all going to come to an end. So you better live it up now. Okay? You better live it up now because it's not going to last very much longer. And you only have yourselves to blame. And your parents before them. So, that's the Church of the Shali Lama. And if you don't subscribe, go fuck yourself. I'll still love you, but go fuck yourself. Alrighty. That's my rant. I very rarely do rants anymore. I very rarely get to the point where I'm just absolutely so pissed off at the complete and total, the shameful behavior. The shameful fucking behavior of just everybody. And how we sit here and we watch these fucking commercials. We watch these fucking these television ads where one politician's, fighting to replace the incumbent. And the money that's spent. So to understand that alone, that aspect alone, the money that is fucking spent on these commercials could, and not only that, just the money that we spent on the wars, the money that's being spent on these proxy wars that are going on. We could actually take care of, like Bill Hicks said, or Alex Jones, whatever you want to believe there. So we could clothe and feed and educate and do all different things that would help humanity. But that's not in their plan for us. like Harlan said, you have owners. They own you. They're in a big club. You're not in it. And then you find out through Clint's research that this is all genealogically proven that these people are all part of bloodline families that pretty much go back to Washington, European bloodlines, all these fucks that we're told that we should respect and admire. Go fuck yourself. Admire. And then on top of it, I guess I'm not done my rant. They put this little boy on there, and they put all these children on there. This one kid said, I had a tumor on my spine, and he walks, poor little guy walks, like he's, obviously got a spinal condition. And then they say, when I saw Donald Trump on the TV where he was mocking the guy that had the physical challenge with his hands, the guy who basically said something dishonest bullshit. The kid, you honestly think that kid was watching Donald Trump on television? No, they used this child. I mean, how fucking disgusting and fucking vile do you have to be to get a child, put him on TV, and then tell him what to say? I guess you'd have to be Hillary Clinton, wouldn't you, then? Because that's who it was. And again, I'm not supporting Trump. I'm not supporting Trump. I just don't believe he's who he says he is. I do not believe he is. I do not believe that he is going to do what he says that he's going to do. There's no way that they're going to let him do what he says he's going to do. And really, the only thing that I've seen him do is divide more people in this campaign. He's divided more people than maybe Obama, and he's been accused of it greatly. And of course, Trump also wants to nuke Iran. So it's just like, he's in bed with the Yahudim. Okay, he's in bed with the Yahudim, and so is Hillary. They all work for the same people. It's just all bullshit. So I am bringing Greg in, and I will be bringing Clint in, and we are going to talk, and we are going to examine the mental illness that is citizenship. And not only that, we're going to talk about Deutsche Bank. We're going to talk about Puerto Rico and its insolvency. We're going to talk about how World War III is effectively already started. And that's pretty much going to happen right now.
Of every transaction, they'll institute whatever rules they can.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just going to become out. It's just going to become in your face. Oh, Joel's is there, so we might be able to go live.
The trick is not to use government issued cash. That's all it is. It's the only way they can control it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's like it's like my friend here. He's like, how do people? How is this ever going to change, right? Because he thinks we need a good revolution. I'm like,
yeah.
No, we don't need a revolution. It's not. That's never going to work. It's a false into the same pattern.
I think we should make up our own currency instead of bitcoins. We should make shit coins, petrify our own fecal matter, and trade it. There's a lot of shit, and people are full of it. Continue.
Yeah, well,
continue. I'm just losing it. We might be back online soon for a good, hopefully for about 40 minutes. So hold your She was like, let me log in. Let me log into Tel Aviv. What's going on over there, Tel Aviv? Well, we're just hating on what you're saying and want you to stop. Did you see? Now, I watched the debate. Did you guys watch any of the debate just to see how fucking disgusting and putrid? I know Greg. I spoke to Greg yesterday. You can't. I can't
watch it.
That's fine. That's fine. I mean, I spoke to Greg yesterday. I know he and I kind of watched it just to see the degeneracy.
I couldn't watch. I told you I was watching it for about 10 minutes, and then when I saw where it was, we weren't really paying attention anymore. It wasn't doing anything for me.
Yeah, I kind of did, and then there were some distractions. But I pretty much saw the first 45, 50 minutes, and then I had it turned up so that I could, as I was going into the kitchen, I heard.
It sounded to me from what people were saying is that what's her name had the questions before the.
Debate. You could tell she had an earpiece in. There was a number of things that were not that don't pass the sniff test with her, but also with him. He failed because the whole thing didn't make any sense. I mean, he could have, if he was what he said if he is who he claims to be, he could have absolutely destroyed her. There's no reason. And got bad advice, but once I saw it going that way, I was like, this is just the same old, how would the old boss say with the new boss?
Oh, damn it. He has more respect for women than we give him credit for.
Right.
I'd made a statement that they were playing by the rules, and my friend said, "Oh no, Trump's taking it easy on her." I said, "Well, there's only so much he can say. He can't bring up anything about all the people that dead in the wake of the Clintons and so much more."
Right.
He wouldn't even have to do that. All he would have to do is just make the claim like you're on stage right now. What do you say to the people currently right now that are sitting in a jail cell? And there are many of them sitting in jail cells who released confidential data. People who work for the government.
All right, let me see here. So yes, we got
there you
Clint,
go.
And we have Greg, who is involved in the oil production, post-production. I always get that.
Production and process.
Production and process, that's right. And he's also involved in technology as well now, circling and around apps and, apps for...
I think we can call Greg a bit of a propagandist at this point for the oil industry, can't we?
Propagandist, there you go.
Yeah, both negative and positive.
But
I'd say I'm more like a realist.
Is oil really bad? I mean, if the earth produces it, I mean, Greg's brought a lot of really, really interesting, I never thought of it that way before. And we don't have enough of those people out there that bring, that take opposite day and fucking say, listen, you asshole, oil's not the demon that they make it out to be.
What it is, the greatest lesson you can take in life is that be a contrarian about anything that comes out of the media or so-called science, all this artifice. When they're telling you something is bad, chances are it's probably good. And if they're telling you something is good, chances are it's probably very bad.
That's right. And we found that to be the case. So it's been very.
If you think about it, everything across the board, everything they tell you is good is bad, and everything that's bad is good. So it goes to reason that, they've been lying to us about nuclear, they've been lying to us about oil. They tell us vaccines are great. Look at, hey, McDonald's is healthy, right?
Yeah.
So.
They're loving it, man. That's all that matters.
Yeah, and now they've turned everybody's brains to mush. And
Here's something you can explain to me. Why is it that year after year, somehow you got all these healthy people competing in the Olympics, and somehow McDonald's is the official restaurant of the Olympics?
That's right.
Doesn't matter what country, McDonald's is the official restaurant. I'm sure that McDonald's is packed full of Olympians.
That's right.
that are chowing down on a Big Mac and a freaking fries and a shake between each competition, right?
Yeah, if you're an athlete, the first thing that you want to, it's obvious that you get all ripped up and strong, and you're like a specimen of athleticism. You know, it was quarter pounders and nuggets that made that.
Absolutely.
So you know it, and McDonald's is
well.
Exactly
to be fair, I've heard that the Olympics is a drunken debauchery full of sex and all kinds of things. So it could be that McDonald's is that late night restaurant, that 24-hour restaurant where people go to binge after they've been drinking and doing drugs and having sex. That might be what it is about the Olympics.
Yeah, but
that's why it's the official restaurant.
They're not going to blame McDonald's when they missed, winning the gold because that friggin' nasty nugget filth that's pulsating through their liver and destroying it stopped them from the javelin from going that extra little bit, or the high jump or the long jump. They're not going to sit there and say, I fucking blame McDonald's. I had a quarter pounder last night.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible that all Olympic athletes are given a vaccine to McDonald's before they go to the Olympics.
That blocks all the toxins.
That or they're just taking massive doses of laxatives.
That's right.
There you go.
Or they eat it and it's like, oh, that tastes so good, and then they induce vomiting. So it just they only absorb a certain amount of the carcinogenic filth that the McDonald's is. So McDonald's bad, no doubt about it. I have not eaten there in it forever. I do eat at Chick-fil-A from time to time, but I think that's pretty much it. And then they had coleslaw. They had a really, really delicious coleslaw that was on the menu where I would be like, all right, if I go in there, I'm not going to get any of the fries. I'm going to get some coleslaw. Discontinued. That's the struggle of my days. They discontinued the coleslaw at Chick-fil-A. And I'm beside myself. And I'm a fan of coleslaw. Can we get a shout out for slaw? All right. So we've had a number of developments this week, and we've had Deutsche Bank. I saw that on blacklistednews.com, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty big. But I didn't think of Greg right away. But then when I spoke to him yesterday, it was like, yeah, Deutsche Bank. He spoke about the Puerto Rico being insolvent and now being owned by the Yahudim of Wall Street. I wanted to also mention that Clint's got a new video. You can find that over at your Corporation Nation archives.wordpress.com. You can find it. It's up on YouTube under Corporation Nation. Clint Richardson. It's Nota. You can see his incredible creation to vote for none of the above. Check that out. I'm going to drop a link in the chat room so everybody can see Clint's latest creation on voters and electors, and just a complete sham that is of this whole voting process, electoral process in the American corporation. Okay, so Deutsche Bank.
Douchebag Bank.
Douchebag Bank? Okay. So
Greg's to be fair, man, Greg's been crying about douchebag for quite a while. He's been talking about the douchebag falling for quite a while, so give credit where credit's due, huh?
Yeah. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
All these banks have to. All these huge banks have to fall in order for them to reconfigure their, the World Bank that we've been hearing about for years from Melonhead Jones and so many others.
Yeah, that, or they're using it as the perfect excuse to rape people, create the environment so everybody shorts their stock, and then they come in with a rescue and wipe them out.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep doing it repeatedly over and over again, and it's a head scratcher. Like, wow, they do it all the time.
Right.
Yeah. Did it this week. I didn't think they were going to collapse. They're not going to let the 11th largest bank in the world collapse. It would bring down too many people.
Right. And in addition to
just
that,
people think that.
In addition to that, and I was speaking about it this morning over here on the Sludge Report, final assault on Aleppo. Russia warns the USA. Fierce words. We're already in World War III. Does this take in the grand scheme of things, everything's going to shit. I like to break down a little bit of it so that I understand it a little bit more. I know ultimately that the whole system is satanic and destructive and absolutely just decimating lives. So
I want to just add my 2 cents into this because I'm going to be honest with folks. I think it's time that Americans get a little taste of war. I think Americans need, actually, to have bombs dropped on their cities. I think Americans need a good kick in the ass, a little bit of death and destruction of their own children to bring them into the reality that all these other countries suffer from every day.
And what we're paying our taxes into, right? We're paying our taxes into this war machine. They're over there. They're fighting proxy wars, killing children and women in Libya and in Syria, bloodied fucking innocent little children. And so, as I said, we are going to pay the price because it is going to happen here. And I think that's what Clint is.
The question I was saying before when I was. Go ahead.
Well, the question is, will our reaction be one of, oh my God, we can't allow this to happen to other countries anymore? We've been sitting here watching it happen and praising it as if it's some patriotic fucking thing, or will we just get angry and our anger will be directed like that of 9/11 to go kill more people? That's the real question. Can they manipulate us and make us angry enough to support, or stupid enough to support more destruction of other countries, sort of like the 1984 model?
There's no doubt. Is exactly what we're gonna call for. Hit them 3 times as hard as we ever have before. The made up enemy. Let's hit them. Let's hit them hard. Whoever you tell us is the bad guy, let's go hit him 3 times. That's what the American people are going to say.
Well, I don't know if anybody has, last night was telling you guys when we were off air, last night was they called it the National Night Out. Mm-hmm. Okay. And here where I'm at, there was a big, police love fest with, at a Target parking lot where they had all the SWAT teams and, big government, crush the little guy, type of stuff, with thousands and thousands of people there, all like giving, praise and heaping praise and glory upon the police on the police state. When you see something like that, you're like, you know what? Bring on the bombs.
Yeah. Well, as part of the small group of people out here who are actually rooting for comets or some other large celestial force to wipe us all out, I'd agree with you. I like I said, it's time for an enema. This place needs an enema. We need something to wake us the hell up from how we're being controlled. We need to see the carnage that we are causing everywhere else in the world. And when I say we, let's not forget, when we say United States, we're talking about a small little corporation in between Virginia or West Virginia and whatever it is on the Potomac River. We're talking about a very small little corporation that was built as a war machine for the fucking Vatican. All right, that is what we're talking. We're not talking about the states. We're not talking about all this land, this territory that we call the states. We're talking about that little corporation there that we have a president and a senate and all that stuff. That's what we're talking about. I want people to be clear that when people say they hate the United States in other countries, they're talking about our nation, that jurisdiction, that little tiny corporation that extends its frickin' branches all over the world. They're not talking about the reason they hate us is only because we're not doing anything about it. We're supporting it. We're consenting to it. We're even voting for it. We love it. It allows us all this great, wonderful benefits and fast food and all these great little things that we get to have because, well, we're killing people in every other country to acquire that and ensure that we continue in our benefits. That's fucked up, and I'd like to see it stop. I'd like to see, again, the people of this nation get an enema and realize that what we've been doing, our silence is wrong. Our silence is worse than anything the United States
silence
can do.
Silence is consent. We're consenting to it. If you saw what I saw last night, you would say, you know what? The only way that we are going to wake up from this, the only way that there is going to be, is for the bombs to start falling.
Well, I mean,
otherwise, that television is so good that getting people, controlling people's minds. As long as that TV is going and there are movies playing, there's no way that enough people are going to become Christ-like enough to change this system. Now, maybe they're going to drive it to the point where it's so miserable and things get so unpleasant for people, like it's going to get unpleasant for people in Puerto Rico and other places where they're now just not even hiding it anymore. You know, they're putting it out there in full regalia for everybody to see. Maybe they want everybody. Maybe they look at us and say, these people are just so damn stupid. Let's just show them what's coming.
Well, the thing is that we are being demonized. I've seen a number of videos. We're being demonized a lot of other places in the world. The only people that don't know are the citizenship, or most of the citizenship in this country, corporation. They have no idea what's going on, whereas there's other people out there that are saying the U.S. is doing this, the U.S. is doing that. So they're focusing on us in this global, you know, in the global eyes of the world. We are going to be demonized because America has to fall. America has to fall before they can achieve some of these other things that they need to achieve. America has to be brought down, so we will be demonized. And it might not be in a Red Dawn style event, but the events are going to take place, and it's going to be racial, civil. Oh
no, it's not. It's already happened. It's not Red Dawn. What I saw last night, that was Red Dawn. Okay, we are in Red Dawn already.
Pretty much.
So police state.
The police state is Red Dawn. We have been, and the glorification of this whole thing, I tell you, it's sickening.
Well, and the question becomes, are we talking about United States troops, or are we talking about UN troops, which include United States troops?
I think maybe that's the next round of it if things
once the police get
they're not going to lose control of anything. I think they're quite satisfied with the results they've gotten. There's no need for UN troops to be. For what? People fall in line with the police anyway. I mean, you know.
Well, I mean, there's going to be the people that do because they want to be protected from the people that don't like the police. You know, so it's divide and conquer on the commoner level.
On a side note, you know, I've been talking to my friend Greg. Another Greg, and we've been talking about going to a gun show for a while, and I was like, dude, we gotta go get stoned and go to a gun show and make fun of people, right? Make fun of the preppers, make fun of the gun people, and we did, and I gotta say, it was one of the most eye-opening experiences of my life. Was we're walking around the gun show, I've never seen such a vast array of conforming people, right? So all these people, they had the same dress. It was very much like the hippie movement, or the reverse, or the opposite, the opposing force of the hippie movement. It was like the hippie movement got off on having no power. These guys get off on having guns and having power, right? But they don't really have power. It's just a movement. It's just a controlled opposition. So you've got all these people walking around these gun shows, And all of a sudden, someone comes over the loudspeaker and they say, "We here at the Crossroads of the West Gun Show, we are very patriotic. We love to support our troops and da-da-da-da-da, and police and da-da-da-da-da." And I look around, and I'm like, what the hell's happening here? And Greg and I are looking at each other like, oh, my God, this is going to happen. And we look around, we see all these people, and they're still conducting business as if nothing's happening. But they're all listening, just like I was, to the loudspeaker. And she says, so we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance all together. So please take off your hats and put your hands on your hearts, and let's say the Pledge of Allegiance together. And everybody did their commerce until the very second that pledge started. And then every single person in that big, massive, thousands of people just stopped, took off their hats, put their hands either in the military salute or whatever, and they said the Pledge of Allegiance, right? And I'm going, oh, my dear God, these people have they are the most conforming people ever. There is no gun culture. There's no real culture of adversarialness out there. These people were about they were ready to let police butt fuck them. I mean, that's how these guys, they were so conforming. They were so happy to say the Pledge of Allegiance. They have no idea that what it is they're fighting is the nation, the actual structure of the nation. They have no idea that is the actual enemy. That is the thing that has enslaved them, put them into personhood, put them into franchise. They have no freaking clue. They actually think the nation is what makes them free, having no idea that free, of course, means franchise. I was shocked. I was purely and utterly shocked. I couldn't even make fun of it. I had to just take it in. And they're looking around. Each one of them was looking around to ensure that everyone around them was also saying the pledge. And I sat there with my damn hat on looking at them like, wait, you fools, what the hell are you doing? And they looked at me like I was some kind of mongrel enemy because I wasn't saluting the flag. My God, it was the most pathetic thing I've seen. And that, in a nutshell, is our culture. It's a bunch of slaves who have no fucking idea they're slaves. None are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free. That was the perfect example of it. And I'm telling you, man, the gun movement is just the hippie movement with a uniform.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well said.
Okay, that's my rant for today.
Okay.
That pretty much nails it,
Well, you see,
free on the bombs.
You see it out there. You see a lot of these. You drive through townships, and they'll say we support the local police, and it's a nice thing to say as supporting your fellow man, fellow woman. But at large scale, like has been said many times, we don't know who we are. We really don't know how they look at us. We still actually believe that we vote and we're responsible for the presidential election and all these other things. Just the very fact that the money that's spent on these fucking commercials where these politicians say, hey, Katie, she's a douchebag. They should just say that. They should just be like, what a whore. And just say like they would on this.
I'd like to start a campaign. I support my garbage man because at least he does something for me. At least he actually is there for me. Every week he comes and he collects my trash and he's a totally unsung hero. Whereas the police officer doesn't show up until after I've been fucking abused and my shit has been robbed.
Well, that runs,
and he usually charges me for the crime.
Well, that runs into
to exact from me
voting for trash-filled dumpster in 2016.
That's right.
The trash-filled dumpster and stalled toilet. So.
Yep.
Or Nota.
I think they're the best qualified.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, seriously, guys, when you if you get a chance, go out to. I'm gonna post it in the chat room. The Clint's latest video, and there it is, Radio Archives. Oh, is it a Radio Archives or is it on the?
I didn't put it on the Corporation Nation. I don't know. I haven't accessed it so long I can't even remember the password.
No, here it is. Here it is.
It's on my Strawman story info.
I have it here. I'm going to paste it in. I'm going to paste it in the chat room for everybody.
So on that note, just so you know, India has the same exact system we do. Very few countries have the same system that we do. It's such a corrupt system, but India happens to be one of those systems.
Really?
All right, and they actually so they have an electoral college, an indirect vote for president. They do not. The people do not vote president, right? They actually got, and this is the same exact thing that would happen in America if we were to actually do exactly what India did, which was to put a no to a none of the above option on the ballot. Okay, this is how corrupt the system actually is. Okay, this is Qureshi, who's India's chief election commissioner in June of 2010, from June 2010 to July 2012. Okay, so the chief election commissioner, this is what he said about the fact that the people actually in India at least know enough, not like the stupid Americans, at least India's common people know that they don't actually vote for president, that it's an electoral process, an indirect process, that their votes have nothing to do with it, and that they actually got a no to option to be put on the ballot. So you got all these candidates and then none of the above, right? Yeah. Well, here's what the election commissioner in India said. It's just like America. We think we're free, but in fact, it's one of the most tyrannical countries ever. Tyrannical governments. It says the none of the above or no to button that electronic voting machines will have from now on does not give you the right to reject all candidates. He said the new provision does not mean that all candidates in a constituency stand rejected or defeated if a number of no to votes exceeds the number of garnered votes for the candidates by the highest vote getter. Here's his quote. He says, even if there are 99 no to or none of the above votes out of a total of 100 votes, the candidate X, and candidate X still gets just one vote. Candidate X is still the winner, having obtained the only valid vote. The rest, all the 99.9999% of the people who vote none of the above, they will still, the rest will be treated as invalid or no votes. Qureshi said that was actually in the Indian Express newspaper. They literally told the people that if you, all 99.99% of you vote none of the above, and one asshole votes Republican or Democrat or whatever their system is over there, the one person that voted is going to decide the election. That will be the majority vote because it's the only actual candidate that got voted for. That's how fucked up our system is. So if 99% of Americans vote none of the above, even though we don't even have the option to do so, we are still voting the rest we're basically voting to be under the majority who does actually vote for a candidate. All right, that's how fucked up our system. That's how little of a voice we actually have. The majority will win, and the majority will be decided by the popular vote of the completely illiterate a-holes who actually believe that they vote for president.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I want you to understand the most important lesson you can take out of this video, or what the national vote is, the indirect vote for president. You are voting yes. If I vote for Hillary, I'm voting yes. If I vote for Trump, I'm voting yes. If I vote for third party, I'm voting yes. The vote is yes. There is no option to vote no or none of the above. Okay? If I don't vote, I'm also voting yes. What is the yes vote? The yes vote is consent of the governed. Because I participated or didn't participate in the election franchise, I have allowed the majority of the votes to legitimize the electoral process, the electoral college process. I'm not voting for one candidate or another. I'm voting for one part of a whole, one member of a bloodline family that has ruled us since the Roman times and earlier. That's what I'm voting for. You see, you're not voting for president. You're voting to legitimize the Electoral College. And it doesn't matter which candidate, they put both candidates up. The political parties appoint the electors, and then the electors are activated by the national vote, which is a bunch of idiots who actually think they're voting for president, and they're actually voting yes for the Electoral College. That's how the system actually works. So no matter what you do, whether you vote or don't vote, you're simply voting yes because you have no choice. It's not a choice. Voting is a prayer, as defined by many dictionaries. Voting is a public prayer. Election is a choice. When you elect, you're making a choice. When you vote, you're simply saying, I'll take whatever the majority says. Whatever the Electoral College says, that will be my vote. That's how it works. Mm. It's completely rigged. It's complete organized crime run by the political parties, and it has been ever since this country was founded.
So get out there and vote, everybody. Oh, it's just.
See, I mean, think about it, man. If that kind of lie can be passed on us, and the media can convince us every 4 years or 2 years that we have to go vote, even though our vote does not count for shit in any way you look at it, well, then what other lies are we falling for on a daily basis from this government?
It's one of the biggest deceptions that at some point, hopefully, will be documented and people will laugh hysterically at us.
At themselves for participating in.
Well, I mean, people
I don't know if
that maybe got past it. People that got past it.
You can't minimize by saying what else are they lying. The question is, what are they not lying
about? True.
They're lying about everything. So,
so badly.
Go ahead, Shali.
We got about 4 minutes.
About 4 minutes? Wow.
We got about 4 minutes. It really is one of the greatest deceptions. I mean, one of many. I mean, you can encapsulate it as the Great Deception or the masquerade.
So I think it's delusion. Right? There's a difference between illusion and delusion. An illusion is something that a magician will cast and hope that people fall for. But when you're under a delusion, it's coming from yourself. And so the reason people don't like to hear what I have to say is because I'm always saying, hey, look at yourself. Yourself is the problem. Don't blame the Jews. Don't blame the Rothschilds. They created a system and you fell for it. You actually consent to it. You even vote for it. You participate in the process. Don't blame it. Blame yourself. You're under the strong delusion that's talked about in the Bible. You're under that delusion. Don't blame the illusion for what's coming from your own mind. You're the problem. Oh, no, I got to blame someone else besides me. It's always got to be someone besides me, but no, that's not the truth.
It's always someone trying to push the blame on someone else, even in just little transactions, even in just little, communications. If something goes wrong, instead of going to try and fix the problem, somebody wants to focus on someone or something that they could blame it on. You know what I mean? It happens and every fucking day, when you're dealing with computers, when you're dealing with networks, and that's just one aspect of it. People are always looking to blame someone. They're always looking to something or some object.
Shali, don't you know if you see something, say something? Come on.
I know. It's just that, people are just they're always looking to find something, some object, some person, whatever, some personhood, to direct, it's your fault. You're the one. You caused this. Hey, why don't we just focus on what the problem is instead of you getting your rocks off by trying to blame somebody for something? That's America. That's Night America, man.
America, fuck yeah.
So, Greg, man, what do you think? Take us out with your prediction, man. How's this all going to fall down with Deutsche Bank and everything else?
And talk very quickly because there's less than maybe 30 seconds.
But basically it's wash, rinse, repeat. Bailout will come, people get wiped out on the shorts, they'll start the whole cycle again with another bank or, with the Italian banks, and they'll extract as much as they can, and people will keep muddling along.
So it's just basically it's the holding company. They put all the shit into one company and then let that company fall. Basically is how it works. And we have to remember that as the stock market crashes, the common people lose all their shit. But all that is profit for, what is lost is gain.
There is only one holistic system of systems.
Hey, guys. Okay. You go ahead and continue. I'm still recording this, so go ahead. So whatever you were going to say.
Basically, when people say a loss in the stock market, they never pause to think that someone is gaining from that loss. A loss, there is no such thing as only a loss. There's always the dualistic nature where what is lost is gained by someone else, right? So what is gained is also lost by someone else. So they allow themselves to have losses until the point where they crash it, and that's the time where they take trillions and trillions out of the markets between all of them, and that's their profit for the next 7 years, and then they rinse, wash, and repeat, like Greg said. But you can never forget that someone is profiting off the loss, and that's what we've been trained to do. We only see the loss. We don't realize that, if you when the sand falls out of the hourglass, where's the sand going? Right? When the money falls out of the market, where's the value going? It's not just disappearing.
Well, it's like we didn't have time to say it before, but the music stops and certain people wind up falling on their ass. And the question is how are those people going to take it? There will be some people in this who are going to be wiped out, or others, so like you said, it's going to be just a wealth transfer over to them. So there's going to be infighting. There's going to be gnashing of teeth, and there's going to be hell to pay. And that's where they'll be like, okay, well, if you don't like it too bad, line up your chips on the table. Let's go to war. So yeah, we're in pre-World War III now, but I would imagine that it's going to go full hot probably in the next 24 months. I still think before the end of 2017, it's more than likely, but
I mean, like, look
yeah,
at
but
what's going on in Russia.
I can't even imagine what that means to World War III because of how advanced warfare. We're in 5th generation warfare, which is mostly frequency psychological, babble, basically. I mean, I can't even imagine what World War III would look like.
Just more propaganda and misinformation.
They got to get rid of a lot of people. So, I mean, it could be World War III can just be it actually could wind up being just let
me ask you this, Greg. Don't you think that let's just look at it like sort of the Hollywood model, right? There's reality that happens, real true history, and then there's Hollywood history, right? To think of World War III being fought with rifles and tanks and things would be the Hollywood version that they're showing people. But the real World War III would actually be those who are controlling the images of World War III, fooling us into thinking we're actually having a war like World War II, where bombs are being dropped and that kind of thing. But the real war is a psychological one, where and the food and the vaccines and all these things, that war has been going on for some time. And if you can put the theater of war as the Hollywood version of World War III, where people will die, the real war, it's a never-ending thing that's been happening for quite some time, where they're poisoning us, killing us slowly, using frequencies and setting up all these different satellite dishes and everything else to control us in ways that we can't even imagine. I mean, you can read about 4th generation and 5th generation warfare. There's 2 wars going on. One's the real one, and one as they call the theater of war, or the Hollywood version, which is bullets and tanks and world leaders and everything else. But I mean, in truth, don't you think that what the real war is more of a spiritual war against us?
Sure.
Well, you're right. That's the real war, but I think they're going to start eliminating bodies soon. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, the real war is against us, because if we ever found out, it wouldn't take Russia or somebody else, as an enemy. They wouldn't be able to function anymore, and I think that's why they're planning the fucking total devastation to us. In addition to having the war theater there to distract everyone.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's like a public war and a private war, a secret war that's happening almost at all times anyway. It's just the trick is to see through or past the theater of war, the one that's being put on for show, for media, for to convince us that we are at war. With that the enemy is not the very governments that are pretending to be at war. That's what I'm trying to get at. The enemy is clear. I mean, the enemy is the very same enemy that runs that does all the pharmaceutical tests and the FDA and all these. That's where the real war is. Mm-hmm. And I don't think people really have grasped that yet. That the theater of war is only a mask, and as long as we're concentrating on the theater of war, which is the physical, violent stuff, then we're completely going to bypass the fact that we're at war with that which controls us. Control means govern.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah, but people will never see it that way.
No, they
even though they label us as enemies of the state. I mean, that's in the law. It's just amazing to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the truth is right underneath the noses of the commoner denizens, and it's just too painful to they don't want to go there. Don't go there. We've been told not to go there, so we don't go there.
It's been like this for thousands of years, though. It's been, I don't think it's anything new. I just think the means of being able to control the illusion are far more efficient today than Abraham.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would compare it to the gladiator, put people in an arena and watch the theater as the gladiators fight is the same thing as war. It's just, it's entertainment. And so every once in a while you have to bring the entertainment out of the arena, put it onto a worldwide show of glory and power, to knock people back down, to their knees, yeah. I guess would be the best way of putting it. Yeah. So right now, all we're seeing is that it's coming out of the arena. It's coming out of the control of the Colosseum, and it's going to be out wild for a while, and everybody will say, "Oh crap! Wow, the power of and we'll all cow and we'll all bow to the powers that be because we'll fear war, and everything will go back to the model we've been talking about, which is the United Nations." One world this, one world that. Because otherwise, look what war will do. Look what the ravages of the theater of war can do. Mm-hmm. But I think, I got to be honest, man, I really do think this. I think the only way that can work is if finally the virgin soil of America actually has some serious shit happen to it. Not just 9/11, one building, but entire cities destroyed, so that we actually have that fear. Because right now the American people are almost fearless when it comes to that. They're so not used to any bombs having being dropped on their front door, or their children's schools, or their hospitals being destroyed in undeclared wars. How can Americans possibly be cowed and put to their knees when they believe they're free?
Clint, that doesn't happen to number one. We're number one. Those things don't happen to number one. That happens to everything else but, number one.
Yeah, but don't you think it has to happen?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, absolutely. But again, the lock that the control that they have over the people's this false reality that they love living in, that they just that they think that we're number one. There's going to be elements of society that say, no, I'm not buying this. Why have you done this to us? And then they're and then that's gonna create another divide and conquer between those and what did Palpatine call them? Just those who will not, the nonconformist.
Yeah.
You either conform because we're in a state of crisis, which Clint has already informed us that everything, we are at war constantly.
At war with the emergencies.
Emergencies are wars. Everything's an emergency. The war on drugs, this, that. So there's going to be those that just fall into line, and then there's going to be those that do not. And then you're going to have your 1984 scenario and all that stuff. I mean, they're going to control it along the line.
So then the other concept of this, because we have so many monopolies, laws, and antitrust laws, is the notion that the economy is crashing, but at the same time, mergers and acquisitions are happening. So, I mean, technically, a war is a great thing to merge corporations as well.
I mean, but it's obviously not going to be.
It's all just a Game of Thrones, really. If you think about it.
Nothing that they've ever done really was for the prosperity of the people. It's always, if you look at it, we got to make more jobs. We got to make more jobs, and then the slaves are like, "Yay, more jobs! Yay, more jobs!"
They shouldn't. Yeah, it's like more jobs, more jobs. Nothing like, hey, we're gonna give you a better life, more leisure. No, we're gonna work more. You're gonna be more productive.
You want to work?
Right?
We're gonna make it. We're gonna work. We're gonna get you back to work. We're gonna bring all these countries back.
It's that divide in mentality where if you're going to be working for someone else, I'm not sure why people wouldn't be for, and perhaps that is why more people are interested in socialism and systems where you don't actually have to work as much, right? You go a 4-hour or a 4-day work week, or maybe a 4-hour work day. That would be a natural desire for people who are working for someone else and getting paid shit wages. I mean, that actually makes sense to me. I don't know why more people aren't interested in that. Now, if you actually had a government that said, we want you to be responsible for yourself, a government that actually said, we want to limit government, we want to limit the amount of power that government has over you, and therefore we want you to be independent, we want you to do the right thing, we want you to work for yourself, we want you to grow your own food, we want you to have farms, we want you to have cattle, we want you to have chickens and eggs and vegetables and fruits and all the things that will keep you independent of this monopolistic system that we set up, this company store that is America, right? Or the United States, that would be a completely different thing. Then you'd have the mentality out there, not of socialism, but of the opposite, of saying, hey, I want to be separate from the cities. I want to have my own land. I want to have my own thing. So it actually is in the best interest of government to keep people from, of course, having their own land, having their own, working for themselves, working their own land, right? Which is exactly where we are. This is how you know we don't have a good government or a government of the people, et cetera, because it's completely against us being at all in any way self-sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually kind of like, people, if I was you, I would want to go to a socialism system because your government is in complete control over you. You might as well go towards the Brave New World model and allow it to happen because all of your labor is literally going for the benefit of your principal. You're employed. To employ means to use. You're being used to further the corporation, the government. I mean, why not seek, if that's the way you're going to allow yourselves to be treated as fucking voluntary servants and slaves, why not go for the socialist system? It would be much better. Right? But if you want to be self-sufficient, if you want to live under the law of God and the law of nature, well, then you're going to have to become self-sufficient. You're going to have to detach yourself from the teat of government. Otherwise, I vote for the socialism angle, because we're all being used anyway. We might as well have it as good as possible and let the whole thing fucking just collapse in on itself anyway. I don't know. Just wow.
Exactly. Well, collapse it will, because that's how systems operate, you know? They only go so far. You know?
Yeah.
That's why I think when they talk about, you know, they're going to bring about the dead bodies, we're at the end of the game. They got to recreate the game. They got to press, you know, start over. And how, you know, that's how they're going to do it. And create a real catastrophic event. They'll be protected. They don't care. When this happens, I don't know. I think it's a certainty that it happens within at least the next 15 years. I mean, they're already telling us it's what's gonna, you know, that this is what's gonna happen. So
you're more optimistic within that time frame. I think it's gonna happen a lot sooner.
I think, you know what it is. I think they give us the opportunity to change it. I mean, you know, they do provide us with free will.
Well, so what I find so interesting, and why I think in the end the opposite, it's kind of a strange concept, but this is my theory. Right now, Russia is the new America. Russia is actually offering land to anybody. So Russia right now has the biggest they don't want people to know this. Russia has the biggest immigration rate, voluntary immigration. People are going to Russia like mad. Why? Because Russia is actually doing the homesteading thing that America once did. They say, here's some land. If you are self-sufficient enough and you have the desire enough to build up this land and to, you know, you get 2-point-something acres or 10 acres, I don't know what it is. If you can build up this land and you can, you know, make it work and work off the land, well, then you own the land. We are giving away land. We're giving you money to start that land. Literally, Russia is the new America. America, they did that long ago in order to expand all the companies, or colonies as we called them, but they were just the Virginia company and all the companies, right? The company store. And then eventually they stole all that land back, right? From the homesteaders. Well, Russia is now in that situation where they are giving away land in a homesteading fashion that says if you can work the land and you can establish a homestead, well, then you get to keep it. You get to keep it. No strings attached. You're free, as they say. Right? That's the new America over there. America is not a place. It's a concept. It's a concept of exactly that. Being able to take your own land and work it and live free of any, you know, as long as you're not messing with anybody else, you're free. That's the Russia that we're not being told about.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep, it's the next outlet. It's wash, rinse, repeat all over again. As we go down, they will rise.
Do we?
Yeah, well, think of all the open land there in Siberia and all that area there that's just completely wild. We don't, you know.
Do we believe?
Yeah, but they need before that actually goes into full speed. They will need the plague. Yeah, they need the plague first, and then once they have that, then you'll see it'll. Oh, go to Russia, it'll be a lot better, you know. And look, Russia, it's self-sufficient, right? I mean, they would, even if you wanted to go over there and start a business, they'll give you the money to start a business. It's a great opportunity for people over there right now.
Well, I mean, you can't say that America, the continent here, is not self-sufficient. We've set up a system to make us appear not self-sufficient as a system of control. Russia is one of those. Of course.
No, they're in a self-sufficiency state right now as we used to be. That's how they're operating. How long they operate under that is anybody's guess. They will be brought into the fold at some point, because I don't think there's any difference between the leaders of Russia or the United States. It's all being operated off of this legal system of landowners, and because this is how they control the commoners. That's how
I would float the strange sort of theory that there always has to be some form of free state or America or whatever. There always has to be that sense of opposition to the rest of the world, and I think Russia is turning into the new opposition, America, right? And then in 200 something years, when it's time to have empire change and regime change again, there will be a new America, because Russia is built up and as polluted and nasty as America is. The ideals completely turned around towards the new age and new world order, and then there will be a new America. Where that'll be, maybe Africa, maybe, who knows, but there will always be some form of the American dream, even though that dream, as George Carlin says, is a fucking nightmare, right? Mm-hmm. The truth of it is far different than the dream, right? So I'm starting to think that there has to be in America a false sense of freedom, a false sense that the people are free somewhere in the world, to give other countries hope who aren't stupid enough to think they are free. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Oh, perfectly. There has to be like that Hegelian dialectic, the juxtaposition. And then they inform them about it and say, well, you can come in here and do like a Radio Free America, right? And oh my gosh, there's this other place where people are doing great. Then they find out, and they have so many men, they realize, oh my God, this place is a nightmare.
I mean, I struggle to with the whole Putin thing, and to for people believing now that that Russia is fighting the New World Order, and they are trying to stop what's going on in Syria, and I think they're helping, but at the same time, it's like I can't help but think that it's all orchestrated at the top.
Think of it this way, man. If you look at the history of America, you had a bunch of people who came over here specifically because they were establishing themselves or trying to establish themselves, or they were indentured servants and they were trying to eventually get to the point where they could homestead and have their own land, etc., right? Those people would actually fight for their country in a realistic way because they have the sense that it's theirs. Mm-hmm. Americans today are so caught up in they're so happy to be controlled, so happy to be in this system, and our soldiers I think a lot of the soldiers are waking up and realizing that what they're fighting for is purely just wrong. So who do you think, is going to, you talk to Russians that have ever come to America, they're like, oh God, I can't wait to go back to Russia, right?
Right.
Who's going to fight?
I know many Russians don't feel that way.
Well, I've never met any. I've never met any that said, "Oh my God, we came here thinking it was something, falling for the illusion, and now we see it for what it is, and would rather go back to the homeland." Because there is a sense, as America used to be, there's still a sense of that homeland in Russia, which is the same sense, I think, that Americans had back in the early 1800s, late 1700s. I think they were willing to fight for the land, you see. But we don't have any land. We have nothing of our own, and people are starting to realize that. I mean, if you don't know, well then you got to be crazy. But that's America. I think there's a mentality over in Russia that people actually fight for the territory, the country, the land. Whereas in America, we're like, what the hell are we fighting for? And I think that would be the stronger will, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't own any property here. It's once people figure out that, see, that's the Achilles heel of the system, is that they don't own the land, right? That's why when I talk to a lot of people in the oil business, because there's thing about mineral rights, you discover oil in your own property. Do you own it? And the reality is that they're going to let a certain amount of that go through, so it keeps the illusion alive.
Right.
But they'll set up control boards like the Texas Railroad Commission and others, which are facades for the landowners. These are controlling agencies that are controlled by the actual landowners, and they excise a tax. But then they'll tell you, well, you own it, and it gives people the illusion that they actually have mineral rights on their property.
So again, you're doing all the work and improving the land and doing all this work, and ultimately it all belongs to the landowner.
Exactly.
Yeah, because they subtly.
And they don't even know, and you try to tell them, well, you really don't own the land; you just own the land used. Well, what do you mean? If I own it, I can, they don't come in and take my property. Well, no, they do. That's called eminent domain. They do it all the time. However, in some areas of the country, they don't want to do it. They would rather have you go and develop the land. Yeah, sure, they will give you. You will actually become very wealthy with Federal Reserve notes in the process, but you still will not own anything. They don't care if you have a bunch of dead instruments. You're just a tool in the system, in the game.
Right.
In fact, they'll let you go out and promote it and say, look, you too can be like Woo, right? Start your own business, blah, 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 and get everybody going.
See, this is what I mean, Greg. What kind of propagandist for the oil industry are you, anyway? First, you're like, hey, let's put oil on your land. Oh, by the way, you're being used like a fucking fool. You might make some money off it, but you're never going to actually own anything, so fuck you. Let's do it anyway.
Yeah, but at least you know,
oil.
right? At least you know,
no.
right?
I think that if you're, I think that if you have it, by all means, take advantage of it. Don't allow yourself to suffer. All right,
yeah.
But understand who you are.
Yeah, understand exactly. You're doing it.
Don't have any delusions, not illusions, but delusions.
Yeah,
about the world that you live in.
That's become my philosophy too. Is look, my only goal is to teach you who you are and what you're pretending to be, and you might as well stop pretending to be anything else than what you are, right? So I don't care what you think of my information; it's all true. So you can take it or leave it. All I want you to do is realize what you're participating in, what that participation causes, which is a consent of the governed to allow this corporation and many corporations, which we call nations, to do horrible, horrible things, not only to us, but to other countries. That's all I want you to know. That's it. Period. I just want reality. That's it. Here's the illusion. Here's how you're delusionally participating in it. Either come out of it or accept it as it is. Accept that you're fucking evil or accept that you're fucking good and get out of it. Either way, isn't that all that Jesus taught? Isn't that all that any prophet or anybody that's ever tried to correct things, isn't that all they've ever taught? Is you're caught in an illusion. Here's how the illusion works. You're either going to want to get out of it because you're moral, or you're going to want to stay in it because you're corrupt. Period. End of story.
Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't be doing my job if by reality, I didn't put cold reality. The cold reality of who you are and what you're participating in, and nobody wants to know. Like, listen, don't tell me. I don't really need to know who I am and what I'm doing, and whatever happens to these people, is going to happen to them. But it's
I guess more importantly is to say, remember, heaven and hell are not afterlife things. There's no afterlife in the Bible either. Heaven and hell are things that are on earth, and you're either going to create your own hell, or you're gonna go back to creation, the original creation source, and you're gonna remain in heaven. But I guarantee you that any hell that you're ever gonna be in is one that you're gonna help to create right here.
Well, when I speak to people about when I talk about the Bible and messages in the Bible, I'm seeing with a lot of these 20-somethings now that they've not only have they rejected religion completely, but the Bible is just hogwash. So they're not ever really going to understand that there is a message and that there is a want and desire for you to look into these things, but with the programming and the brainwashing, they know that people are going to be steered away from it. It's not, like Greg said with the free will. You're free to look at these messages and try to understand it and try to interpret them, but you're not gonna, because you've already lumped it in with Pope Francis and his fucking vile existence.
Yeah, well, see, that's the problem, is that you equate, or kids equate the Bible to religion. Mm-hmm. And the best thing that the only way I know to get around that is to say, no, it's not religion. Religion revolves around it, but it's not religion. The Bible is the law. If you understand that, if you understand that it's the foundation of law and it has nothing to do with religion, religions use it to justify their existence, pretending to be gods, but it has nothing to do with it. That's you can give that as much credit as the fact that Masonic lodges use the Bible as their sacred books. Right. There's nothing Christian about or religious about Masonic lodges. It's just another system.
What is their question? What is their question that they ask? They say, do you believe that Jesus Christ is your, Lord and Savior? Isn't that one of the things that they ask you?
Well, until you get to the higher levels, and then they say, which direction do you want to go? Do you want to go dark or light? Do you want to become a warlock in the dark arts? Or do you want to continue to follow Christ? Because you can't get any higher in our levels once you get to a certain point if you're going to be a goody two-shoes. Right?
Sure.
Yeah, you learn the mastery of the way, you get taught the real world, and they show you how you use and abuse the commoners to your advantage and benefit, so that it becomes a heaven on earth for you and hell on earth for them.
And it's a protectionism. So you go to court, the judge is a Mason, a brother, you give him the sign, and he says, okay, brother, you haven't done anything serious, so I'm just going to let you go. Hey, police officer, you are a Mason, which most are. No problem, I'm going to let you go. Oh, you shot somebody? It was just a nigger. We're going to let you go. Oh, it's okay, no problem. That's the mentality. That is the true secret of Masonry, is that it's organized crime.
Yep.
Protectionism.
Yeah.
And they protect the system by becoming part of it, even at a, in the onion layer levels of the world. You become more indoctrinated. I mean, just look at the people that aren't Masons that are indoctrinated into the fallacies and all this other stuff, and then they indoctrinate large portions of them into Masonry, because we need to feel like we belong to something, so we go into that, and then we're even it's even more of a saturated level of indoctrination that like you said,
and there sits the
everything.
Bible. There sits the law. The law says never participate in any of these things. Never participate in religion. Never participate in government. Never participate in personhood. Never participate in secret societies. Never follow fabled genealogy. Never follow the old customs of the Jews. Never do this. Right? The new law, the New Testament, sitting there unread, unknown, and people blame it because they see what religions have done and organized crime, governments and religions have done, and so they blame the Bible when the Bible was just the law that was being used to justify what opposes the Bible. And that's what frustrates me the most, because once I learned that, once I saw that the Bible was against everything that we do on a daily basis, I understood, I understand now why the church doesn't preach the gospel. I understand why religions hate the fucking Bible. I understand why the government is banning the Bible from school, and I understand why they don't teach us the actual original intent and version and language of the Bible. Why they say Latin and Greek are dead languages, because they don't want us to learn it. That's why they used to read the Bible in Latin, because nobody could understand it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You got to be a fool to dismiss the most important book in history. No.
Right.
I will MK Ultra ya, put the MK scope on ya. If
stop them. Don't put that on your wish list. That's retarded babble. Protesters make the hit list soon as they start to rabble. They are nothing but fishes in the barrel. It doesn't have to be Christmas for a carol. Some decorate with ornamental decorum. Some perform shopping on Hanukkah and Purim. That's where my job come in. I am a blessing to the mercenaries for the corporation selling weapons to them. Any potential competitor step into them. I'm authorized to knock them out and stick a GPS into them. They want to sell uranium to Iran.